Well, welcome back, everybody, for episode 3 of our weekly technical workshop series. We'll be talking about commercial protection. So a lot of people dropping in still. So please feel free to find the questions box, not the chat box. Find the questions box. Drop in where you're calling from. Let us know. Say hi. We've got pretty well the entire TAM leadership team on the back end answering questions today. So, we may not get the answers right like Mark and Joel normally do, but we'll do our best. So I'm just going to get started with a couple of quick polls, and then we'll hand this off to Joel and Mark. Mark's coming back for week 2 in a row, right? Like good ratings. Here we go. Are you currently using wireless devices in your commercial applications? All right. Big numbers here. Here we're going. Lots of people still coming in. Just over 95% are currently using wireless devices in commercial applications. 96%.
I'm shocked.
Awesome. I'm shocked.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, just give everybody one more second to vote. There we go. Close that puppy off. And go to the next one. So if you are using wireless in commercial, which brands are you using? You can select all that apply. It should only be Power G and S line, but anyway, you can select all that apply. So, here we go. Small number using Innovonics, 88 or 80% using Power G, 20% using S line or Legacy 319. But 83 holding solid at above 80% on Power G, which is awesome. So I think everybody's going to really enjoy what Mark and Joel are going to show you today. So we'll just give that one, close it off.
We're covering Power G today?
Oh yeah, did I not tell you that? Oops. Okay, so when you're doing large commercial sites that you require wiring, do you own or rent a man lift if necessary? Well, it's a solid. It's about 80 right now, about 88% renting. Well, this presentation will save you some money then. Okay, so about 84% rent, 16% own. I want to know who that 16% is, and if you can give us a loan or not. Great.
Those are some self-sufficient people. If you own your own lift, man, that's
an investment. All right.
Yeah,
so when you are doing a large hardwired system, roughly how much time is it taking? A day, a couple days, 1 to 2 weeks, 2+ weeks? All right, well, nobody's saying 1 day so far. Well, that's good. 35%, 55%, between a week and 2. This would line up with what we kind of expect. Yeah, so a couple, about 10% or 2+ weeks. The majority are 50, just over 50% are 1 to 2 weeks, and a couple of days is the rest. But nobody with 1 day. Power G could change that. Okay. All right, and a nice and easy one. We're hoping to see you at ISC West, so just let us know if you're coming or not. Feel free to reach out to your local TAM if you are coming. We have a couple of great events happening. We'd love to send you an invite if you are going to be at ISC, but yeah, not it's definitely a fair amount of undecided. Not a lot of people attending, so people I think are still trying to get used to the idea of traveling again. But we would love to see everybody down at ISC if you're able to make it. So again, reach out to
I think everyone that's on this call today is going to be at ISC West.
Everybody on our side will be on. Yeah, from JCI will be at ISC West, so you can kind of meet Mark or Kevin or somebody in person. So what I'm going to do, regardless, I'm going to drop the link for anybody who is in there. I'm going to drop the link in chat on how you can register for the JCI event if you are going to be in Vegas. Again, we would love to see you. So I'm just going to close this off. And gents, it's all yours.
Take it away, all right? So
thank you, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate that. I'm Joel Van Valkenburg. I'm the TAM for the Eastern region here in the United States. Mark? He's joining us
Western
again.
region. Wow.
Everyone remembers him from last week. So, today Buckley and I are going to be talking about commercial protection. Neil already referenced it, earlier in the poll questions, but specifically we're going to be talking about commercial protection using PowerG devices. I mean, we have this huge portfolio of PowerG devices that we sell, but we have some devices that are specific for the commercial applications. So the idea of today's webinar is to make you guys aware of them, right? And the applications and use cases, all these good things. So we will dive right into that. And I'm gonna let you guys know I have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. I'm gonna talk fast. So if you have any questions, if you missed something, feel free to ask the guys away in the chat. There are also a ton of handouts, pretty much a handout for each device that we're gonna be talking about today specifically. Also, the full DNA chart referencing all of our PowerG devices are going to be in the handout, so feel free to grab those. Now, I wanted to start today off kind of as a throwback to what Neil did last week on the marketing webinar, which was, PowerG in the real world versus hardwire and some of these commercial applications. So we had a customer who did, a big box store with a fairly large system that originally was supposed to be hardwire, if I'm not mistaken, or speaking out of school here, and instead he went with wireless, and these were the results as he saw them, right? So he did a hardwire estimate of what it would have cost for labor, for hardware, devices, conduits, lifts. For those of you who own your own lift, you already have that, so you know how much that's going to cost. For everyone else, you're going to have to rent that, right? What was this, like 16% of the people that voted said they own their own lift, so there you go. And that total for that estimate was around $8,500, right? By the way, guys, that webinar they did last week on the commercial side with the marketing team was fantastic. Neil's going to drop that link in the chat. So after this one is done today, go ahead and go back and watch that one. It just covered a whole bunch of different things, but we're going to be real specific today into the devices that we cover. Now, he also ran his estimate. If my computer wants to cooperate, there we go. With the IQ platform with PowerG wireless. So you notice that the labor cost drops considerably, hardware, all that good stuff. The only thing that really goes up in cost up front, and the upfront cost is your devices, right? Because wireless devices cost more up front. But overall, it's going to save you money. Notice that, what do we drop? Around $1,500 there in cost, just going from hardwire to wireless, not including what he was able to estimate that saved about 80 hours in total labor overall in the job on top of the $1,600 saved. So we can see the considerable difference, right? And I think, I feel like I'm talking to experts here based on the polls earlier that, everyone already kind of knows this, right? That wireless is feasible in commercial, and with PowerG, it's even more so. You're able to do more, and we have some very special devices that are fit specifically for commercial applications. Today, we're going to highlight 8. Okay, so again, it's going to be rapid pace. We're going to go through each one of these a little bit more in depth, show you some very specific applications. Actually, a lot of these applications, I've been part of. Some of the other guys on the call have been a part of. Mark's been a part of. So we'll see each and every one of these kind of in their habitat, if you will. So we're going to start with the PG9309. Now, this is a door window sensor that was designed specifically for commercial applications. Now, it's a door window sensor, so what's so special about that? What's different than every other wireless door window sensor we make is that this is made to go in high traffic areas. So if you think high traffic areas like, for instance, the big box store, the grocery chains, the retail solutions, right? All of these type of applications, those doors are opening and closing hundreds, if not thousands of times a day. Well, that PG9309 is specifically designed to open and close 2,000 times a day for up to 5 years. It has a hardwire terminal built in, so that way if you need to attach it to an external device, you have that ability. It will enroll as multiple zones, so you can do the read switch versus the external input on the IQ platform. Just a tremendous amount of options, but the reality of it is, guys, is there was apprehension with going with wireless devices on an entry for commercial because the battery life didn't last too long with those legacy devices. But we designed a device that's specific to those applications. But a lot of people don't know that it exists, right? That this is it, the PG9309. Next, We're going to pass it off to the PG9935. And not to bore you with part numbers, guys, so I'm just going to refer to these as what they are. This is our wireless shock sensor. Now, I like to refer to this as a multi-sensor because that's really what it is. This is a shock sensor. It's designed to detect vibration. So if someone hits a door, a window, or a desk and shakes their camera, that device will actually detect it and report back to the panel. It also has an auxiliary input. It also has reed switch, which on the IQ platform can be used and enrolled as different zones, so they can actually report separate from one another. Now, the cool thing about this shock detector, guys, is it's programmable. These the detection thresholds are programmable for different types of applications, right? Maybe you have a small window versus a large window versus a door, whatever the case may be. Those impacts are either going to be less or more depending on the size that they're, or the material that they're mounted to, right? So we want to make sure that you're able to adjust those. And the great thing about this with the PowerG technology is you can do it locally and adjust this device, or you can do it remotely from the panel or from alarm.com. So you don't even have to necessarily roll a truck if you want to make adjustments after the fact. So again, where does this fit in the real world? How about payday advance, right? They got always large storefronts, a lot of cash on hand, retail solutions, jewelry stores, right? They want to be able to have those vibration detection. Wouldn't it be nice to know? Look, glass breaks are great. Audible glass break detectors are fantastic. They're great, but it takes a lot to break a storefront window. Usually, it's going to take more than one impact to be able to break that window. Wouldn't it be nice to detect that impact before it shatters the window and notify the panel and thusly the central station, the sirens, all that good stuff? That's what this device is for. So if you look at this door right here, right? You got the door sensor, obviously. You want to detect if the door is opening and closing, but you got a bunch of windows around that thing. I mean, there's a lot of times where a criminal is going to try to break through that window to get through rather than trying to pull through that heavy duty door. So we can actually cover both of those, environments. You got door sensor tied into the reed switch with a heavy duty armored cable and the vibration detection off of the frame there for anyone trying to bust through the window. Any questions so far, Mark? How we doing?
No, we're doing well, Joel. And one of the things I think you brought up earlier was the variable programming on an IQ panel. So everyone just needs to be aware that this portfolio of products is applicable to the IQ2 Plus, the IQ4, the Neo platform, and the Pro platform. The only variance is sometimes is how we can distinguish between one zone or two zones. And a few of those applications obviously are more detailed in the install guides that are provided. So just wanted everybody to be aware of kind of setting that bar and take it away. I know you've got a couple more here. And
great point.
15 minutes. Thank you.
Next, we're going to talk about our wireless 360 motion detectors. We make two. The first one I'm going to talk about is our long range motion detector. This has a pretty considerable coverage range when mounted at 19 feet. So this is made for those environments. We got higher ceilings, right? Maybe a grocery store or a large shop or something of that nature where, it's going to be higher. The ceiling is going to be higher than a standard 8-foot drop ceiling. This is a fantastic device for that. Again, enrolls really easy. Just pop in the battery, pull the battery tab or whatever, and auto enroll. It has 120 different beams built into it. So if there's different obstacles or obstructions that it has to go around, it's going to be able to cover those different areas as well. You're not going to have to be worried about one area not being covered correctly because of, like, say, a vehicle in the way or something, right? And then we got our short range 360 motion. Now this is made, again, for those shorter ceilings, those drop ceilings in commercial applications, maybe an office building, something like that, where you get 32 foot of total coverage mounted at 13 feet. Now, something that we're, I've noted here for both of these two devices that we're, not really taking advantage of now is these motions aren't just motion detectors, guys. They also have ambient temperature sensing capability built in. So in the future, we'll be able to automate with existing devices built in. We'll be able to send temperature notifications to the end user with existing motion detectors that are already in place. And then our wireless indoor curtain PIR. Man, we've had this thing forever, and a lot of people have no idea that it exists. One of the great things about this, guys, is if you think about a traditional motion detector, it shoots out with like a fan with fingers, right? So you always have to go across those beams to break it, and that's not necessarily going to fit every application. That's kind of the coverage distance gets a little, the angle gets a little far at a certain depth, right? So what's nice about this thing, it has that narrow corridor style lens or detection beam that is actually programmable in distance. So you can program that guy to detect from 6, 12, or 18 feet based on the application. So it's for very specific types of areas, right? So if we look at these in the real world, right? What type of applications, where will these devices fit? Boy, if English wasn't my first language, I don't know what I would do. So we got a shop. Now this picture is really like a kind of reminiscent for me, because in the beginning of my career in this industry, I worked in a lot of car dealerships. I did the security systems and intrusion systems in a lot of car dealerships, and it was always a problem when we got into these service bays, because it's ever changing. Like, well, so what I'm getting at is it's huge first off, right? So if I'm going to have a wall mounted motion detector, I'm going to have a lot of them to cover these areas, right? I mean, think of all the bays that I'm showing here just in this one picture, not to mention what's behind it. But then the environment's ever changing. All these cars are coming and going nonstop. So, if you have a wall mounted motion detector, yeah, they're going to be good. They're going to be good, but or satisfactory in some cases, but are they going to cover the entire area? I mean, not without a lot of them, right? So that's where these 360 long range motions come into play is, now we can get a couple of them, right? And mount them above and cover that wide area. And because of that 120 beam coverage, because of that large area, that 65 foot, we're not going to have to worry about the environment changing as much. Also, Neil, this goes back to the poll question Neil asked earlier. Renting a lift and pulling wire through these environments, man, that's costly, not just for renting the lift and the man hours to do it, but when you're pulling wire through these bays, you're stopping those guys from working, right? Like, so it's costing money twofold for the people. So when you go wireless,
and you run into the Mercedes. You never hit the old school Chevy that's on the floor. You always hit that expensive car when you're driving that lift around. And I've seen those lifts. You leave them up when you're not supposed to, and you slam into things. And no kidding, Joel. That's a good point.
So it's just beneficial in a few different ways. And also, if you look here, guys, I added that curtain clip motion in the back because that's going to fit a couple of different environments, right? That's going to be really nice for that roll-up door coverage, even if the door is left open, even if they don't have a contact on that roll-up door. They want to be notified if someone's coming through. They're going to be able to do so. So, and that's again easily mounted. Mark, any questions?
No, and Neil, I don't know if you have any questions coming in that you would like us to answer live, but on that corridor lens, keep in mind not only what Joel shared with you, but think about an internal hallway where you're going between offices and traditional motions mounted above the door, and that finger concept that he talked about. You end up hitting the walls, and somebody can just walk between, no issue at all, and they're not even being picked up. But this corridor lens will be the solution there as well. So
yeah, great point.
And you guys are killing it. Not a single question in chat
that you guys couldn't handle. Thank you.
I've put everyone to sleep.
No, it's because they know Mark's not answering them, so they know that they want the right answer, so they'll message later.
Surprised no one's asking what all that noise was behind me a minute ago. That's what I'm laughing about. Woo, that was fun. So going with the short range 360 motion detector, that same application, that car dealership, right? Again, if we take that from the shop where everyone's working on stuff in the back, we have the same problem in the showroom, right? You're going to have cars that are constantly moving around, constantly being shuffled. If you have wall mount motion detectors, I mean, there's a good chance that at some point or another, they're going to be blocked by something moving around. And the ceiling's shorter, so we don't need those big coverage areas for those larger motions. We can go with the shorter internal, the shorter detection, 360 detection motion. Jeez, yeah, it's the English thing today, right? Again, to my point earlier, renting a lift or pulling wire through these environments, Mark just stated, you got a brand new Mercedes. You don't want to be hanging off of an A-frame ladder over a Mercedes trying to fish a wire through this drop ceiling. I've been there. I've dropped stuff. It's not fun. I've done it. This is why I'm doing this and I'm not installing anymore. All right, our last detection device is our wireless temperature sensor. This is probably my favorite device that we're selling in the past couple of years. This is my favorite add-on device, if you will, right? Because it's so out of the norm for the intrusion guy to think to sell, right? To think to offer. But this is such an easy add-on, guys. It's really probably the easiest add-on device that we have, and it probably can generate the most RMR, right? And I'm going to get to that. So, a couple of features about this. The temperature sensor also has an optional external probe. So if the device itself won't work in the environment, like maybe the humidity or the operating temperature is too far along, high or low, go ahead and attach the probe. It's going to work just as good and mount that guy somewhere else, right? The thresholds, both high and low, are programmable from the panel, from alarm.com. The device isn't set at one temperature and that's it. You're going to tell it what device it's going to detect at, what temperatures you want the notifications at. When you're doing alarm.com interactive gold, there's automatic support for 2 of these built in. So I know most of our dealers, interactive gold is their baseline. So to be able to get notifications for 2 of those on your phone through the app right off the bat is awesome. I mean, that's such an easy thing, right? For a refrigerator in a shop, whatever the case may be, right? But where this thing really shines is in the commercial package, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in depth here. So where does this fit, guys? And I'm gonna go one step back here because I want to pause for just a moment. I think the obvious thing that we think about is restaurants, right? Restaurants, whether it be fast food, traditional style restaurants, seafood markets. That to me, everyone thinks food spoilage. That should be a given. If we're going into one of these applications with intrusion, we should always think, hey, wouldn't you like to know if your refrigerator's on the fritz, or get a notification if the employees are leaving the doors open? Food spoilage is about 10% of loss total for restaurants in a year. So if we can give them anything to prevent that, that's fantastic. But where I feel like where we overlook a temperature sensor is in like that picture up there at the top is a server room. I mean, that's a little bit of an elaborate server room, but even a small one, right? You think of mom and pop shop where they got their own server running in an IT closet, they want to know if that is running hot, because that's their livelihood, that's their business, right? And so that for the cost of one temperature sensor to be able to just add it in that room, and now they get notifications if it's 90 degrees in there, that's golden to the customer. How invaluable is that, right? So those different types of applications, and you guys can get creative, the types of applications you can think of for temperature sensing that would automatically go to the end user. But this is what I was alluding to a moment ago. Sorry, in the real world, we got it mounted in a cooler as well here.
Hey, Joel, take a drink. And Patrick says, Patrick Gallagher wanted us to let you know that you are killing it. Great explanation. And then that way you got your drink while I
It's appreciated. I do appreciate that. So nobody heard that noise earlier. I'm just going to leave everyone guessing as to what all that was. I'm not going to say anything. I wanted to really highlight this with our partners, alarm.com. We're doing something fantastic with this device. And this is what I was getting at with increasing your RMR. Everyone likes that, right? I want to sell more devices. You guys want to get more money for selling those devices, not just up front, but in the long run. When you're doing the commercial plus package in alarm.com, right? We should always be offering commercial anyways in those applications. But when you offer commercial plus, part of that package is you get reporting for 5 sensors out of the box. It can be increased up to 40, by the way, just so you're aware. And then this package is only available when you're using our platform, so the IQ platforms or the DSC platforms that report to alarm.com with the PG9905. Now, what this does, this gives the end user, come on, there we go, and the slide's moving. This gives the end user dashboards and reporting that they're going to be able to see however often they want for as many different devices as they want. So maybe they got a walk-in freezer, then maybe they got a cooler up front, whatever it is, whatever that they have temperature reporting on. They're going to be able to set the thresholds for this report separate from whatever is on the panel. They're going to be able to adjust this right in the dashboard and get a report based on how those are reacting. Now, think about this for a moment, guys. Just put this in. You're going to buy a sensor that costs, I don't know, let's call it $100. They're already getting the package. You install it. And because of that $100 sensor that you enrolled, you're able to increase your monthly RMR by $5 to $10 on whatever it is you're charging. But the customer is going to see these reports. And maybe they had that refrigerator or freezer in the back. It's just hovering at that danger zone, right? Because they haven't had maintenance in a while. And like Mark was telling me earlier, you're not gonna have to rely on the greasy fingered chef going around writing temperatures that they see on an external probe. They're gonna get these reports as often as they want them and be able to see them in real time on a dashboard. So again, that's why I was probably, like I said earlier, I was most excited to talk specifically about this device, because it's such an easy sell. It really is, and really can increase the RMR overall for all of us in the reporting and save the end users a ton of money. Mark, you have something you want to add there?
No, it's just that you're exciting. That's normally my department, and I just I know we've got a few moments left in the presentation.
So we're almost done.
I'm ready to take over here, Joel. So as a matter of fact, Joel just covered 6 detection devices. I'm going to talk about notification devices here. So the first slide is the external siren and strobe. This is a partitionable product as well for most of our controls today, and pretty soon for all of the controls. We've got the strobe as an option, and we've got even adjustable volume. So when we think about applications and where to put this product, so Joel, if you want to keep going forward here, you'll notice that, see, I'm skipping ahead. So indoor and outdoor. So the indoor version does not have that IP55 rating, still does have the strobe light in the middle. It's still programmable. We can still get a variety of siren sounds. So if we look at the applications and we think about some of those images that he shared with us earlier, you'll notice that we can actually put this siren into those same facilities. So now we have an outdoor siren on each one of those. And think about that lift as well. So we're in a commercial industrial environment, and now that siren that you want to get really high up on the outside of the building, I'm not so sure I want to drive a lift around any of what I'm seeing in this image here, let alone get the wire there or worry about how you're going to program relays and outputs and deal with everything that hardwire really makes it difficult. So as we look at this, what's that?
That's just a ton of labor just to get wires to a siren.
Labor just to get a wire, exactly, just for a siren. And so I think the interior view of your car there, so not only can we put that siren in for alarm conditions, but we can program, let's say, that curtain motion that he mentioned earlier to enunciate traffic. So now even with the system turned off, you've got some sort of sound that you could allow others to hear just from motion throughout the shop. And you can apply this to places where instead of $50,000 cars, it could be pallets that are hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of goods. And during the workday, you may want to be notified of that happening. So I believe we've got 1 or 2 more slides and we're ready to call it a day. So with the complete commercial portfolio, as Mr. Bojangles is saying here, imagine all of these sensors together and one platform, single solution. But not only do you have the detection and the temperature monitoring, you've got this ability to also just send out information via siren. And as our partner earlier that was brought up, alarm.com, every single one of these sensors can be managed remotely, which means you use their mobile tech or your partner portal, and I can adjust that siren sound. I can adjust that corridor lens distance. I can adjust that temperature if need be. So I think the last slide we have, Joel, is just for Q&A and probably just to keep us honest, because I think we hit right at 30 minutes. And one of the reasons is because I wasn't the one talking for the majority of this, and we just would have gone way off into that tangent and would have still been here 15 minutes later. So thank you, Joel.
So you have one question outstanding I kept for you, and then we'll wrap this puppy up. So is there a way to print reports? So if you're not using alarm.com, so you're not using SDTM, Is there a way to print the reports for temperature monitoring from the event buffer on Pro and
Yeah, through the event buffer. Yeah, but I don't know if it would be a report per se. You would just be able to see the high or the low warnings or alarms, right? So you wouldn't see like daily activity like you would through the SBMT or SBTM, that is,
Right.
Through alarm.com. You're just going to see the alarm conditions or the warning conditions, and that's it.
Even though there's a 1 degree differential that makes something change with the temperature sensor, today with the Neo platform, we can actually push a temperature up to a keypad so that someone could track it. Let's say if they were interested in a server room that's been starting to get a little too warm. And then in the Pro panel, we have that same capability today. And in the near future, we should have more temperature monitoring, as Joel alluded to, that's actually embedded in other sensors. So then energy management.
All right, I'm cutting you guys off. All right, so first thing first, Jim wants to know, I guess inquiring minds want to know, what fell? What was
no, my wife came in here and started digging through the refrigerator and dropped like 3 sodas. So gotta clean that up afterwards.
There you go. All right, well, Joel forgot to remind you, there are handouts. There's 5 handouts that you can download directly. Did you say it?
Yeah, at the
There's
beginning.
5 you can download. Jim gave us a smiley face for your fridge story. As always, we're looking forward to seeing everybody next week. We're going to be talking about IQ Lockdown. So very exciting new product. So hopefully you can all join to see what we're talking about with the IQ Lockdown. And as a quick reminder, there is an after workshop survey that we would love to get your feedback. What was good, what was bad, rate Joel, rate Mark, say they were good, the bad, the noise was distracting, whatever the case may be. And let us know what you're looking for from future workshops, because these are for you. And we want to make sure we're giving you information and subjects that are going to drive some revenue for you. So at the end of the day, we will say thank you, Joel, Mark, great job as always. You guys have some good rapport going between you. And we will see everybody next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
See you later.
Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.
And now the awkward pause.
I'm hitting it, don't worry.